Rakesh Arora. I think we've gotten him. He's the managing partner at Go India Advisors. He joins us right now on the phone line. Rakesh, good morning and many thanks for joining in. We just spoke last week about the metal space and the possibilities of such a thing happening. Now it's happened as well. Now that you've had time to go through the contours of the deal, maybe even hear what Kumar Birla had to say, what is your thought on what does this mean for Hindalco?
See, I think it's a good deal which they have turned around, and there are a few positive things which come out of it. One is that the growth for Hindalco is looking questionable from here on because India there aren't really major options to grow, and more so when all these coal mine cancellations etc. happen. So value addition is one of the fields where they could have grown. And Novelis had started throwing free cash in the last year or so. So Aleris gives them, the much needed growth. Number two is that, the portion of business which has stable earnings, largely the conversion business of Novelis and now Aleris, makes earnings of Hindalco much more stable. So to that extent, the volatility from LME aluminum price would be much lower. So these are the two major benefits that growth comes in and stability of earnings start to increase.
Hi Rakesh, good morning. This is Navneet. While there seems to be some bit of strategic fit with this acquisition because I think Novelis for the longest time has been trying to increase its revenues from the auto pack, but it also gives them exposure now to the defense and the aerospace too, which is the space where probably margins are higher than the other segments where currently Novelis is, catering to. But the bigger question here is, Rakesh, it's a strategic fit versus the leverage also which they will be taking, the balance sheet leverage. Do you think that could have repercussions going ahead?
I don't really think so because as I was saying that, Novelis and Aleris both are into a business where cash flows are much more stable and are not linked to, aluminum prices on LME. So to that extent, you can leverage the balance sheet slightly more. I mean, if they were doing an acquisition on primary aluminum, then things would have been totally different. But, conversion business, they can afford a higher leverage. So I'm not really worried about the leverage going up. I think they have enough liquidity.
And what about the EBITDA, which a lot of brokerages have now come out? I think in 2017, Aleris did somewhere about $200 million. They're estimating now in 2019, they could do somewhere about 330 to 360. Do you think that's overestimated or they could deliver that number?
Now, while I don't really estimate numbers anymore, but I can give you a little bit pointers. See, Novelis has a 3.3 million ton capacity, and they are doing around $1.2 billion EBITDA. This guy is 1 million ton, so almost one third. So you can easily calculate that the ballpark numbers are not really off the mark of what Novelis is doing.
Fairly interesting. Rakesh, my final question, I mean, you've given us a broad synopsis and as you would, from a perspective of a company which is, or rather, a geography like India, wherein some of the large acquisitions done in the past history haven't necessarily worked, but for one or two. This is not as sizable, but do you think they have bitten only as much as they can chew?
See, I think Novelis is the highest risky acquisition that they did. And now they are into that territory, into that, specialization. They know the area, they know the geography, they know the business. I think the risks are extremely low in this kind of acquisition.